Hello everybody, I'm InTheLittleWood, also known as Martin, and welcome back to the channel. Today, a very special vlog. It's the 13th of January. I'm up nice and early because I've just watched the Nintendo press conference about the Nintendo Switch. They've announced it's coming out on the 3rd of March. There's loads of trailers here that I watched as well for things like Super Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, ARMS, 1-2 Switch, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, loads of stuff. And you know what makes this all the better? I get to go and play it today. So I've got my Mario bag packed. Let's chuck that on my back and let's go to London. Oh, no, this is only the train station. Let's try again. Oh, did that work? Oh yeah, look at this. Nintendo Switch UK premiere, but my god, look at that queue. Oh. Alright, so we're in. So as soon as you come into the event, they get you to walk down this corridor where I think they're trying to drive home that idea of like Nintendo genes and DNA of all the various different controllers of the past that they're now bleeding into the Nintendo Switch. Oh, I knew it'd be loud in there. Copyright music as well. When they challenge you to play on hard mode. Alright, we're over here with Melvin. We're over at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I didn't hear about this before, but the Joy controllers actually get a nice little tiny wheel. If anybody knows how I play Mario Kart, I always put the Wiimote inside of a bigger wheel. Some people prefer the Pro controllers, not me, motion controls every day. So we're playing in the pop-out mode at the minute, the desktop mode. Little focus with the lights, there you go. So it's just one Joy controller needed, and that one just there as well.
So have a choose of the different characters, create your vehicle, and then select which track you'd like to play.
This thing already feels so light, and it's already got like a metal casing around it, obviously for protection reasons, but I can't imagine how light it's going to be without that.
Thank you. And that's the finish line.
So I just got done playing some ARMS with Left Guy, Rich, the guy from our office, and it's really, really good. I can't believe how like insanely delicate the controls are. There were a couple of moments where I like flinched and my arms obviously went inwards to like sort of like a fight or flight defense mode, and obviously that's the block, so it's really intuitive the way that you turn it in. And the way you hold the controller as well when you're playing ARMS is like you do a thumbs up motion. There's only 2 buttons on each controller, so you've literally got dodge and I think it's jump. And then you've got the special attack buttons as well, and that's it. But it kind of penalises you for just doing rapid fire with your punches, because if you start throwing your arms around and your hand happens to curve, then it starts doing curve shots, which you can use effectively. I think that's just to stop people from just like spamming their arms and flailing and stuff. This game really surprised me, and like Nina said on her tweet to me this morning, she reckons that this is basically inspired completely by Luffy from One Piece, and I'm inclined to agree. Right, just got finished up. They're going to do one more round on the floor. He just filmed a little piece in there, which I think is for the Nintendo social media. So they're going to do like a little 2-minute video of me chatting about the different games, chatting about the console. I think I just panicked in the moment. I was trying to give them like really good like snippet sort of stuff. So I think I might have sung its praises like very, very highly. I must have looked like such a fanboy, but what are you going to do? Here we go, we just got done playing a couple of rounds of Splatoon, and you know what? It's great on the actual device itself, on the Switch, whether you're playing it in like docked mode or regular, but I really, really enjoy playing it with a Pro controller. One of the best new things is the dual pistols allows you to do like a dive roll, like a dodge. So if you're in the middle of rapid firing, you don't have to stop shooting to dodge left or right. You just like double tap B and away you go. And then as well as that, they've also got like this new jetpack. So you fly up in the air with the jetpack, and as you're up there, kind of like Farah from Overwatch, you can just rain down like loads of shots from above. It's so good. Oh, I just realised I could have done a switch to get back home. I filmed this whole outro sequence outside the Apollo, and now I don't have the cool little transition. But anyway, I'm back home in Bristol, and something that I realised very quickly when I was on the train, I did a couple of social media posts about having gone to the event, a picture of me with the Switch in my hands, and you guys had a ton of questions. So I created the hashtag InTheLittleSwitch, and you guys blasted me with a load of questions that you had about the device. So I'm just going to go through all of these and try and pick out as many unique ones as possible to cover loads of points. If I do miss any out, in the comment section below is where you can ask more questions, and I'll try my best to get through loads of those. So Mostoff_1 is asking, how good is the local multiplayer? So it was actually totally seamless. So in regards to the local multiplayer, if you just had the device itself, so minus a dock, that worked fine. We had 8 people racing in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all sat around a circle table. I can even throw a clip of it on the screen right now so you have an idea of what it looked like, and it worked totally fine. We all played our races, there were no dropouts, there was no lag, there was no weird like rubber banding or anything. It just worked. And that's going to be a common trend amongst most of the things that I'm going to say about the Switch, is it just works. The way that you expect it to work, the quality you expect from a Nintendo product, it's just there. So I'm noticing a lot of questions on the timeline about the battery and whether it gets hot, how long it lasts, this, that and the other. So just to give you an idea, all of the devices that were plugged in at the event were either sat in the dock the entire time and you use things like the Pro Controller, or you're just given the Joy Controllers to play the game, or it was actually plugged in by the USB-C, so it was constantly charging all the time. Now, having said that, when I played on that circle table playing Mario Kart 8, those devices would have been plugged into the USB-C and charging for maybe like 3 hours, as well as people actively playing them. And yet when I picked up the device, it wasn't even a second thought to me about how hot the device was. My hand was completely on the back. I was sort of turning it around and stuff like that. I didn't notice any kind of heat issues, which is amazing. So this question actually has like 3 answers because there are various different forms of this. Gnator on Twitter asked me, how does the controller and the buttons feel? So let's go through a couple of things. The first thing is the Pro Controller. This is sort of similar style to the current Pro Controller for the Wii U. It's not as glossy. It's got a bit more of a solid finish. And it also looks more square. And I say the word looks because it looks square. I thought it was going to be bulky and rigid to hold. It was so smooth. It felt so rounded in your hands. I don't know how they did it. My brain was like, it looks like this, but feels like this. The next thing we talk about is how does it feel when you're using just the Joy Controllers? So I played some games where you have to do the thumbs up motion. I played other games where you have to use them normally. I played some games where you only use one and you're sort of launching and pulling triggers and all that sort of stuff. And every single time, I never felt like I was going to accidentally drop this little thing. For me, for my personal hand size, it seemed super ergonomic and everything just felt good. But one thing I will say though is that I'm not too crazy about the buttons that are on the inside of the Joy Controller. So imagine you've got the front face and you've got the top buttons and the shoulder buttons. There are these 2 extra ones that are on the inside. So imagine when it goes into the Switch, it's the parts that touch here and here. I've not actually seen those 2 buttons applied just yet. There's 2 on that inside section. At first I thought it was just part of like the hooking in sequence, but it's not. They're actual input devices. And then the most minuscule teeny tiny bit of using one of the controllers was not actually during 1-2 Switch. It was actually when I was playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and I got to use the tiny Joy Controller, just a singular one of them, and they put it inside of the Mario Kart wheel, and surprisingly that was really nice. I really liked it, more so than using a regular Wiimote with a larger wheel. It had 2 large buttons on the back, 2 very big distinct buttons that you can have as your L and R, and of course the buttons for like X, A, B and Y, they were great. I don't know how to compare them to the brand new 3DS XL because that's what a lot of people asked about, but I can tell you that they were clicky, they were responsive. I didn't have any problems. They didn't feel rubbery. Like, they didn't feel like if I pushed them down or if I was going for rapid clicks that it wouldn't, like, you know, kick back and allow me to really go for it. They felt good. This is an interesting one. So Connor, Goo the Splat, is one of my Twitch moderators and long-time friends, says, did the width of the Switch with the controllers on the sides feel wide? Seems quite wide to me. And surprisingly not. I mean, I can put up some footage on the screen of me playing through Mario Kart, and there wasn't really any point where I felt like this was a bit too much. It felt very balanced, is probably the best way I can explain it. I felt like I wasn't having to reach too far around, or I didn't feel like it was too wide that I had to put my arms in an awkward position. You can sit in the usual V pose and just have it there like you would if you were playing a Vita or a 3DS. It just sits nicely around the screen. Ooh, here we go. So how heavy does the Switch feel, and is it comfortable to hold? So obviously I've already told you that it's comfortable to hold, it's fine. It's actually not that heavy at all. I was very pleasantly surprised. Most of the Switches that were laying around the place, they had these massive metal brackets on them, and obviously they had like a huge cord coming off of it to basically not allow you to you know, run away with one. But when I was getting interviewed by Nintendo for their social media post in this separate box room, I actually got to pick up one out of the dock, free from any kind of extra contraptions, and it was even lighter than the initial ones that I picked up. So I can promise you that you're not going to feel like you've got this dead weight. It's not going to feel like you're holding like a large iPad or something for a prolonged period of time. It's really cool. Here's one that a lot of people have been asking, so I'll just take Evan. He asks, how is the resolution and the frame rate? Also, can you record on it? If so, is the quality good? So, here's a couple of bullet points. I actually had the guys from Elgato send me a direct message asking me if I was doing capture at the event. Unfortunately, I wasn't. I didn't find out until I got to the event that if I had some stuff with me, I could have filmed Zelda Breath of the Wild and gotten raw gameplay footage, so I'm gutted about that. But having said that, I did see people using the old Elgatos to film off of the Switch, and it seemed to be working perfectly fine. By the old one, I'm talking about the sort of like rounded one that's quite like rectangular. It has the old cable for the PlayStation 3, that one. So I'm assuming that all generations of the Elgato from that one onwards must work perfectly fine. In terms of the frame rate, it was actually spot on. Again, it just worked. When you're playing on the device, I was told that that was 720p, 60 FPS, and it looked so much more than 720p. Like when he told me it, I was genuinely quite surprised, because I heard rumours that it was going to be like 940p, and it looked like that. And I think that had something to do with how vibrant and how like just intense the screen is. Like the screen really pops, and I'm not saying that just to sound like silly or anything. It really was like boom. I don't know if it was because I was in like a relatively dark room with just colour lights all over the place, but this thing shone. And then when you clicked it back into the dock and you're playing on the big screen at 1080p, 60 FPS, there were no frame drops. None at all. Like even in Zelda Breath of the Wild, where I thought they might encounter some, it was slick, it was smooth as butter. I couldn't believe it. I was really thoroughly impressed. I like this one. Someone said, can you make a Switch pun, please? Well, I'm going to answer the next question of, which one are you going to pre-order? No, yeah, in seriousness though, some people were asking about the colour variation or the grey. Which one should they go for? Trot asked me as well. I think that one is just totally down to preference. What I will say is that even though I don't personally prefer the red and the blue one, I'm going to go for the grey one just because I feel like it makes the whole unit look a bit more complete, especially when you look at the backside. I just want you to know that even when I was in a low lit situation and there's loads of different colour lights all over the place, the red and the blue were still super bold, and then I saw it in a glass cabinet that was very well lit and the colours were really popping. Like, so I don't think you're going to be disappointed about it looking washed out or the hue seeming like too low on the actual pads. So to answer that second question, I'm probably going to go for the grey. That's just my own taste. So this is an interesting one to leave the video on. So Joseph Ferrari on Twitter, he's got the handle Joseph Moon Golf, says, if you played 1-2 Switch, do you think it's worth the individual price or should it have been bundled? Now, I don't know the actual price of 1-2 Switch, but I think my answer would probably still be the same. So at the event today, they had a large circle space in the middle, which all the way around had various different 1-2 Switch games. I don't know if that was all of them. I think there were only really about 5 or 6. There was like a milking one, a cowboy one, there was one where you got to guess how many ice cubes are in the shake thing with the HD rumble. But all of them felt a little bit kind of like tech demo-y and proof of concept and very light party games that anybody in the family can join in on. If they're selling it at the same price as something like Breath of the Wild, then no way. I think even if they were selling it at the price of like £20, I'm still not sure it's worth that much. Unless there are going to be like 50 games to this thing, or if they're going to add loads more party games over time that, you know, a small team at Nintendo just constantly begin to churn out, then I honestly personally think that it should just be included in a bundle with every Switch. And speaking of bundles and launch titles, I'm kind of in the same boat with everybody else that I'm a little bit worried about the lack of launch titles for the Nintendo Switch. And there were a lot of other third-party developers there today. A lot of them were telling me that their games aren't going to be coming out for a little while. Even first-party titles, so even like Mario Kart, isn't coming out until an entire month after the launch. Splatoon 2 I don't think is coming out until summer. Mario Odyssey is not until Christmas. So we've got Zelda Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch, maybe ARMS. I didn't even get a release date for that one. There doesn't feel like there's much going on. And that so far is literally my only apprehension about the Nintendo Switch. But to be honest, I think if I've got Zelda Breath of the Wild, and if the Virtual Console with a lot of GameCube games, or even just regular older games from like SNES and N64 and stuff, are playable on the Switch from day one, I think I'm going to be a pretty happy customer. So there you go. Hopefully that answered all your questions. If not, like I said, comment section below to leave any more that you would like to ask, and I will be hopefully getting myself a Nintendo Switch on the pre-order so I can start a Zelda Breath of the Wild's Let's Play on March the 3rd. I am so excited. So keep an eye out on the channel over the next couple of days. I've got loads of videos coming of gameplay footage. Unfortunately, it's not raw recordings. A lot of the games had rule sets where they had to do over-the-shoulder stuff, but it was filmed at 1080p, 60 FPS, and the lighting actually wasn't too bad, so I don't think it's going to be particularly grainy, so I think it's going to be good. I've got numerous games of Splatoon 2 I can show you. I've got ARMS that I played against Left Guy from the Christmas live streams, and I've even got some rounds on Mario Kart 8 on both the tiny little wheel that I played and also on the Nintendo Switch itself. So have an awesome day, thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna switch you off.